Ben, I will start with you. Tell me what city you're in and how you hopped on board the Indiana Fever bandwagon.
Jason, thank you for having me. I'm from Monmouth, New Jersey. How did I get on the Caitlin Clark bandwagon? Like all of us did. We saw logo threes. We loved the logo threes. We fell in love with the logo threes, but we stayed for the touchdown passes, the splitting the needle passes, watching the Iowa basketball team go to back-to-back national championships. They couldn't pull it out, but I mean, you can't watch Caitlin Clark and not fall in love with her game. Thanks for having me, Jason.
Maurice, where you from? How'd you hop on the bandwagon?
I'm coming from Los Angeles. I appreciate you bringing me on the platform. Just like Ben said, man, she pretty much took over the basketball world. That magnificent run she had her junior year in Iowa. And ever since then, I've been glued to watching her games and just enamored with her play.
Gentlemen, let's get into it. I've been arguing on this show, and people have been upset with me that, like, hey, Caitlin Clark's going to have to make some adjustments here. It's clear as day that, one, her teammates have elevated. Two, Stephanie White has built a team that she wants to play a certain style. And three, Caitlin Clark's dependence on logo threes, dependence on constantly, always controlling the ball, initiating all the offense. It actually limits the other players. There's no knock on Caitlin Clark. She can be the MVP of this league. She can be the best player in this league. She can be the greatest women's basketball player of all time. But she, in my view, she's going to have to make some tweaks and adjustments to her play for this Indiana Fever team to reach its full potential. Ben, you fire first. Your reaction to my contention, she's going to have to make some tweaks and adjustments when she comes back.
Jason, what tweaks and adjustments are we talking about? You know, with Caitlin Clark in the lineup, if you look at the team's offensive rating, defensive rating, net rating, all those numbers allude to the team being better with Caitlin Clark in the lineup. When you look at the starting lineup, Caitlin Clark, Lexi Hull, Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, Natasha Howard, and you compare that to this current iteration of the starting lineup with Erin McDonald, Sophie Cunningham, Kelsey Mitchell, Natasha Howard, and AB, Caitlin Clark's starting lineup is clearly superior than that starting lineup. And when you look at defensively, everybody wants to talk about Caitlin Clark being a defensive liability. Caitlin Clark in the lineup are holding teams to 40% field goal percentage. Without Caitlin Clark in the lineup, they're holding teams to 49% or 50%, depending if we're going with the Lexi Hull starting five or the Sophie Cunningham starting five. So I'm not sure exactly what she needs to change up. When you look at the win percentage of the team, they're winning over 60% of the games with Caitlin Clark playing how she's playing so far this season, even with a bum leg. They're winning at an over 60% clip. This current team's winning at a 56% clip. So I'm not sure what she needs to change up. Would I like some better decisions with the basketball? Sure. We all would like some turnovers to get cut down. But that's what makes Caitlin Clark so special. She sees things that most people don't see. We need to take the good with the bad because the team's far better when Caitlin Clark's playing her style of play.
Ben, I want to push back, and Maurice, be patient with me here, but I just want to push back and say, yes, we can look at the numbers and say, hey, this is their winning percentage, this is what teams are shooting, blah, blah, blah. And then we could also just look with our eyes and just take the numbers into an account. I'm not saying dismiss them, but look with our eyes. And so this whole thing of, hey, they're winning at a higher percentage, blah, blah, blah. Now, there's an adjustment. When a ball-dominant player gets removed from the lineup, there's going to be an adjustment. And when you're got this ball-dominant player and you think, well, she could be back any day, so let's not make too many adjustments because we're going to have to go back to her being a ball-dominant player. And so there was a feeling out process and people just getting comfortable with, okay, and that's why Stephanie White and the Fever were like, hey, it's actually good that we're going to take our time and we can now just focus on a style of play that fits this bunch where we don't have this super ball-dominant point guard. And so none of this to me is a knock on Caitlin Clark. It's a realization, because I was right there with many people criticizing Stephanie White. What do you mean you want to change the style of play? Are you kidding me? Caitlin Clark is this and that. And now I've had to back off and say, hey, look, with the moves they made during the offseason, bringing in Natasha Howard, bringing in Sophie Cunningham, they got to play slightly different. They don't need Caitlin Clark to initiate, create all the offense. The ball needs to move more, because there's so much defensive attention. It's I think easier to defend the Indiana Fever, because as Carolyn Peck said, you know what they're going to do. The ball's going to be in Caitlin Clark's hand, and blah, blah. With the way they're playing offense, and I'm not saying abandon Caitlin Clark's initiating the offense, but we just got to cut it down a little bit, and she's got to move a bit more without the ball. And then on the defensive end, I'm just going by eyeball here, and I'm going to reject the numbers right now. They're playing better defense without Caitlin Clark. I've seen too many things. Caitlin Clark completely lost on defense. I've heard it out of Caitlin Clark's own mouth at a press conference that she rests on the defensive end, and she needs to cut that out, because she doesn't need to be the offensive driver that she was at Iowa, in college, in high school, in junior high, in grade school. Just doesn't have to do it. Maurice, hop in here. I saw you shaking your head. Fire back.
First of all, you played an initial clip from Carolyn Peck. This is the same Carolyn Peck that's a known hater. This is the same Carolyn Peck that tried to argue Angel Reese being rookie of the year over Caitlin Clark because of plus minus at one point in the year. This is the same Carolyn Peck that downplayed the greatness that Caitlin Clark showed us in her rookie year by saying, oh, well, she plays on the perimeter, so she has a little bit more freedom. It's a little more easygoing and free out there. That's the same Carolyn Peck we're talking about. So I'm taking what she's saying with a grain of salt. That's the first thing. Let's move forward.
Hold for 1 second. Hold for 1 second, Maurice. Hold. I'm gonna let you pick back up. Carolyn Peck coached Stephanie White at Purdue and is directly connected to Stephanie White. So I don't think she's just out here freelancing when I think some of it, I'm not attributing it all to Stephanie White, but I think you got to contribute some of it. She's just reflecting her conversations with Stephanie White. A lot of what you just said, I completely agree with. Some of her comments about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese last year, delusional. She's caught up in that ESPN sister girl, Yas Queen deal and just saying dumb stuff. But some of it is just, she's connected to the head coach. They have conversations. She's reflecting what the coaching staff thinks. Continue.
I agree. But and then the part of, does she need to adjust her style? I think as players, you're always looking to constantly evolve, right? And you have to adjust to the players you have around you. I believe that this is more so a malpractice on the management. We had a play style last season. This was an easy gig, by the way. We had the number 3 scoring team in the league, the number 1 scoring team post-Olympic break. So people say, oh, Caitlin Clark's ball dominant. Kelsey Mitchell post-Olympic break averaged 23.5 points. So obviously, she was able to flourish with Caitlin Clark playing that way. Aaliyah Boston averaged a double-double. Obviously, she was able to flourish with Caitlin Clark playing that way. So this was an easy gig. You come here and bring your defense. Nobody watched the Connecticut Sun play basketball last year and said, hey, we really enjoyed this offense. This offense is really good. In a league, they were 8th in offense. Nobody wanted the Connecticut Sun offense. Stephanie White said she had been watching Caitlin Clark for 5 years. She loved her game, so you knew the style when you showed up. If Natasha Howard did not fit with the style you saw this team flourishing in last season, why'd you bring her? Why'd you go get people that do not fit the style that the big 3 showed last season? That is on the management. So, no, Caitlin Clark don't need to adjust. They still need to adjust to them. If you're going to be on her team long-term, you figure it out. I'm fine with her being off the ball some. She played off the ball some even last year post-Olympic break when she was going off. The difference was Christy Sides actually had plays. They had a go-to backdoor play where Caitlin Clark got a lot of easy layups. Caitlin Clark got some good looks playing off ball with Christy Sides last season post-Olympic break. She doesn't get any good looks playing off ball in Stephanie White's system. She either just stands in the corner or they set lackadaisical screen. I have not seen her get a good look off of playing off the ball in Stephanie White's system since Stephanie White has been here. So, no, I don't think she needs to adjust. You should have brought the proper pieces in to fit the greatness that they showed last season.
Maurice, that's all I can do, because I'm struggling to find disagreement with the second part of your argument, but it is a different argument, because I agree with you. I was saying this last year quietly, under my breath, not boldly and loudly, but I was like, hey, man, I don't get firing Christy Sides. I think Christy Sides struggled at the beginning with Caitlin, like anybody would, and then figured it out in the second half of that season, and through how they performed in the playoffs, I was like, yeah, let's double down. Christy Sides is showing growth. The team is showing growth, and I agree. I sat here during the offseason. I was like, oh, man, DeWanna Bonner and Natasha Howard, they're building a super team. I was not thinking, like, well, hold on. Does it really fit what Caitlin Clark does? And now, with the benefit of seeing how this play, I'm in total, it's like they put the wrong team around her.
Yes, 1,000%.
They put the wrong pieces around her. This isn't some big vision like, hey, let me do what's best for us winning, but also let me do what's best for us business-wise as the Indiana Fever and the WNBA. We have to lean into Caitlin Clark and the excitement that she brings. It's best for business. It's best for the WNBA. She has clearly shown that her style of play has elevated this team last season, and it should have only gotten better if you put – it's like the Sophie Cunningham deal made sense.
Yes.
Natasha Howard, DeWanna Bonner – not so much. And I like Natasha Howard in the way they're playing her now and using her now. But overall, and you people that watch the show have heard me make the argument, when the Boston Celtics had Bill Russell, they built the blackest team in basketball and built a team around Bill Russell. When the Boston Celtics had Larry Bird, they built the whitest team in basketball and a team that fit Larry Bird. Why can't Caitlin Clark get a team that fits her? She's a heterosexual Catholic girl that likes to listen to Taylor Swift, and that's what she needed in that locker room, not Sydney Colson pretending like she's going to penetrate her from behind. And I know everybody likes Sydney Colson, but build a team and a culture that fits Caitlin Clark. Ben, I want you to hop back in here. I really love Maurice's point here. But I think it's two separate deals. They did the wrong thing during the offseason, but now that we're here, what do they need to do to max out this team?
I think that goes to what Maurice said, what Christy Sides did last year. If we're going to have Caitlin Clark off the ball, let's design quality plays for Caitlin Clark off the ball. When we heard Stephanie was coming to the team, Jason, she spoke a lot about off the ball. And fans fantasized, oh, we're going to have her doing Klay Thompson off the ball, Steph Curry off the ball, Reggie Miller off the ball, Ray Allen off the ball, Rip Hamilton off the ball. Instead, what we're getting Caitlin Clark set one screen and stand in the corner for the remainder of the possession when she is off the ball. Stephanie White's not running her through multiple screens, multiple stagger screens, telling her to go baseline to baseline. Stephanie White is having Caitlin Clark set one screen and stand in a corner. And that's not using her abilities to the best. You're not using her gravity that Stephanie White continuously says. Going back to what Carolyn Peck said about the team being more dangerous. Stephanie White yesterday said, well, when Caitlin Clark comes back, I think the team's going to be more dangerous. So did she misinterpret the conversations her and Stephanie White had behind the scenes? And Stephanie White came in as soon as she got on ESPN to clean it up a little bit?
No, hold for a second, Ben. Let me explain what Stephanie White did yesterday. Now, Stephanie White and Caitlin Clark have been clearly butting heads over style of play. I think everybody can agree with that. Now that Stephanie White has some momentum because of the 5-game winning streak without Caitlin Clark, Now she's willing to give Caitlin Clark her praise, her flowers, and to celebrate her. It's disingenuous, but it's not hard to figure out what's going on. It's like, now that I have a little leverage and have proven my point that my style of play works, now I'm going to tell you the truth about Caitlin Clark. Continue, Ben.
Jason, what is she accomplishing by doing that?
She's accomplishing her agenda. She wants to empower herself and be allowed to coach her style of basketball. This is about Stephanie White. You got to know who Stephanie White is. Stephanie White was Caitlin Clark before Caitlin Clark. Small town in Indiana, led them to the state championship, set the whole state on fire. I'm from Indianapolis. I'm from Indiana. I know the whole history of Indiana basketball. She set the state on fire with her high school basketball career from a town of 760 people, and then went to her hometown or home state team, Purdue, carried them to a national championship. And same thing, basically the same, and then, didn't have the WNBA career that Caitlin's having. But Stephanie White has an ego, and it's built on her success in basketball, being hyped up in the media, and I'm just keeping it real because we got to put all cards on the table. And I've already apologized to Stephanie White. I get what she's doing. I don't fully agree with it overall, but I get what she's doing. And so I backed off my criticism. But I just putting all the cards on the table. Stephanie White is part of that alphabet mafia team. And there is, again, there's not shocking that she brought in DeWanna Bonner and Natasha Howard and a team that, again, has a different culture than what fits Caitlin Clark, the Catholic, Taylor Swift loving person. And so, anyway, go ahead and finish your thought.
So, Jason,
Stephanie White is accomplishing what's in her best interest, is my point.
Whether she likes it or not, she's going to need to adjust to Caitlin Clark. Whether she wants to continue to have Caitlin Clark set screens and stand in the corner, that's not the recipe for success here. She's going to need to swallow her pride and have Caitlin Clark running off multiple screens off ball. Because if we just use her as a catch and shoot three-point shooter, if we use her as a screen, we are not going to win a championship. The team is playing without Caitlin Clark now. If we throw her into here and we allow her to continue to run her offense, but the 20% that you said on Friday, she is off ball, well, we need to utilize that 20% in the best way possible. We can't just be throwing 20% of our offensive game plan out the window because we have Caitlin Clark off ball. Her off ball needs to look like a Klay Thompson, a Steph Curry, a Ray Allen, a Reggie Miller. And if Stephanie White's not willing to do that, then this team's not going to go very far in the playoffs.
I'm going to ask both of you guys this question, then I'm going to let you go. And push yourself. Give me a real answer. Don't try to – yeah, go ahead.
One other thing, because I've heard this numerous times. The Indiana Fever won 5 straight games last year. This idea that it's been 10 years since they've won 5 straight, they won 5 straight last year. They went on a 10-game streak where they won 8 out of 10. And during that stretch, Caitlin Clark averaged 23-9, Kelsey Mitchell averaged 24 points, and Aaliyah Boston averaged a double-double. So the notion that this team can string together wins with Caitlin Clark playing her style, the notion that Kelsey Mitchell can't ball out, I'm a huge Kelsey Mitchell fan. Kelsey Mitchell defender all the way. That notion is simply incorrect. Separately from their 5-game win streak earlier in the season, they also had a 4-game win streak. So this team can win doing it Caitlin Clark's way. So
we just won 3 in a row.
So the whole 10 years since they've won 5 straight is just simply not true, Jason.
Can we address? Hold
for one second, Maurice. I'm gonna let you go. But that's an ESPN mistake. Didn't they say that on the broadcast?
No, it is an ESPN mistake. I'm just clarifying because a lot of people have run with that.
I got you.
They're wrong. But Jason, to ESPN's point, they tend to forget Caitlin Clark's rookie season. So it is what it is.
Go ahead, Maurice.
And then, like I said, before Caitlin Clark got hurt this most recent time, we just won 3 in a row before she got hurt. right before the All-Star break. So it's not the fact of we can't win games this way, but I would like to talk about some of the teams we beat on this miraculous 5-game winning streak. We beat the Las Vegas Aces, who just got smacked by 53 points on national TV. They had 4 Olympians, 2 of them.
They got the best player.
Yeah, but 2 of them.
It's an impressive victory. They had lost like 18 straight to Las Vegas or something incredible. They had been getting their brains beat in by Las Vegas, beating them 2 in a row. Come on, don't diminish that. Go ahead.
The Las Vegas Aces this season, they are not good. We just watched them lose by 50, okay? We beat the Chicago Sky, who have won 7 games. And Jason, you ever walk outside and you step on some gum and you just can't get it? That is what the Chicago Sky is to the WNBA. They are the gum on the bottom of the shoe. They're terrible. You know who else we beat in this 5-game streak, Whitlock? We beat the Dallas Wings. Oh, they lost 3 times to the Chicago Sky, who are terrible. We beat a bunch of sorry teams. We beat the Phoenix Mercury. They've lost 5 out of their last 7 ever since they got Dewana Bonner, who scammed the Indiana Fever. And we did beat the Seattle Storm, who's a good quality team. There's been a lot of trash teams you've been stepping on. Let's be clear here. But 5 in a row is 5 in a row. But we're not going to act like with Caitlin Clark we couldn't have beat those same teams.
Let me buttress your point. I made this point. I made this point. Hold for a second, guys. I made this point yesterday or last week or whatever. Listen, they're also not getting these Super Bowl efforts when Caitlin Clark's not on the court. That's Caitlin Clark elevates everyone's performance against them. And so they're getting Super Bowl performances from all of their opponents. Whenever Caitlin Clark shows up, Dejanay Carrington and the Black KKK, they all get hyped up. We're going to lynch this little white girl. And that's all gone. And so that is some additional context to this 5-game winning streak. I still stand by it. To max out this team, she's going to have to make some adjustments. Let me ask you guys, because I got other things I got to get to. I got to do my Harmony segment. But I will say, you guys have been terrific. Ock and John the Liquidator were very good, but they said something crazy. And let me circle back to that, just while I got you out here before I asked you I just want to circle back. They argue that Angel Reese was better than Aaliyah Boston. And I need you all to acknowledge that was insanity last year. And I like Ock and I like John. They'll be back on the show. But that was insanity last week. Can we all agree on that?
Yeah. Angel Reese just learned how to make layups about 15 minutes ago. I would never. No, Angel Reese is not a better basketball player than Aaliyah Boston. Sorry.
Ben?
Jason, they argued that she had a better month than Aaliyah Boston.
She didn't. She didn't.
How did she not?
That's insanity. She didn't. I don't care about the numbers. I know basketball. This woman lucks up and makes some layups, and the next thing you know, now she's better than Aaliyah Boston. There's not one general manager in basketball that would take Angel Reese over Aaliyah Boston. Come on now. That's just a fact. I don't care what month it is.
To start their team,
or what time of the month it is.
To
They'll
start your
take
team.
Aaliyah Boston on her menstrual cycle over Angel Reese every day of the week. Let me ask my final
Jason,
question.
To start a team, yes, you got to take AB for starting a team for sure.
Y'all gonna trigger me and get booted off here the same way Ock and John the Liquidator did. This is a simple question. Don't duck it. Ben, you first. If you had a choice, if you could only have one, Caitlin Clark win the MVP or the Fever win the title, which do you choose?
Let me get a championship. Let me get that ring. I put to bed so many arguments, so many conversations, so much nonsense that we got to deal with. Give me that ring and we'll get our MVPs later.
Maurice, you got the final word. I would say winning the ring, because if they win the ring, that obviously means she won Finals MVP. So I'll take that. So let's go get the ring, and she'll handle business and win the Finals MVP.
That's right. We can have our cake and eat it too. It's a good point.
Gentlemen, awesome job. Thank you for. Although Ben tried to defend the Angel Reese point, Ben, that's a strike against you. Be careful on your next visit back here. Thanks for, but anyway, thank you guys. Great job. I do want to shout out to, I saw something from, I think the guy's name is Rudy Rodriguez.